Okay, so I'm gonna be a little woo. And like, I know I'm like also copying other people who've said similar things, but I literally have tried to record this like 4 times and been stopped. And to me, that says there's like an energy or a presence that like doesn't want us to expand. And it's sort of like the man, this energy. It's sort of like, it feels very rushed. It feels hurried. It feels like I'm just like seeing someone go round and round in circles in a dark place. This may be like a feeling you have, or the feeling of where you are, the location, or maybe like people around you are like frantic. I'm sensing also just an energetic, maybe even like an ancestral energy above you, like of like just hovering. There's also some really positive ancestral energy around you, but there is maybe some intergenerational trauma here and maybe one ancestor that is in your consciousness that they're negative, not in a like way that's like so, so harmful, but I think they're tuning into that frequency. And the same person that has also good sides that you're not tuning into. So I think there's a negative frequency happening in your life, and it's kind of like taken over, snowballed, like because you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it in other people. You're seeing, in Course in Miracles it says like the only problem is that I'm not seeing correctly, and I think that's an interesting point. But I think there's times when we are seeing how, what that book misses is that there are times when people are cruel or are taking advantage or are thoughtless or are careless. And it's like, it's not that we're like blaming or hating them, but we're sort of, absolving ourselves of being the one that makes everything happen to us, because that's self-abuse. There are situations where people take advantage, people overpowered, people bully. That really happens. And so I think it's, in terms of seeing correctly with that, it's like, I'm just hearing the phrase, I am allowed to take up space. I'm thinking of like this like metaphor of like a person who goes to a gym and is really like obsessed with like working out, but they're still not losing weight or seeing results, and yet they're like identifying with this like archetype of like a jock. And the thing is, they're exerting so much energy that they go home and then eat a huge unhealthy meal. So that's not the best rhythm, is it? And they're not really getting the other part of it, that you have to eat well and not just burn off, and not just like use it as a calorie burn off game. I think that metaphor matters for me because I'm a different kind. I used to be a distance runner, which actually is a different kind of thing than going into, like, running 8 miles is different than going to the gym and lifting weights. I'm also a swimmer and a yogi, which is like very different mentality than like, oh, I'm so buff, I'm gonna like lift all these weights. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that like, I think you're surrounded by an energy like this, where it's like either people or the environment are like really, really competitive, and it's like there's not even that much to sit upon. So I'm also hearing no mud, no lotus, which means in Buddhism, like, we can't grow without struggle, I'm also hearing the Buddha as the shit stick, which is an old Buddhist teaching that, in like Zen monasteries, or just in Buddhist, even Mahayana monasteries, but it's more of a Zen thing, that they would use a stick as a bathroom tool instead of toilet paper, and so sort of meant to be that the Buddha is like a utensil. The Buddha is the boring and mundane and the everyday, and the Buddha is utilized for everything. What does that mean? Here, though, with this reading, I feel like you've been in a struggle. That's the no mud, no lotus. And then you've been like, I I feel like utilizing it is an important word. Something about utilizing tools. You've been suddenly realizing tools that you have. And one of them is mindfulness, okay? And that's every day. And it's like, it's really, it is like the shit stick, because it's just as important as going to the bathroom. It's kind of what that's saying. Being mindful, being aware is just as important as any other daily task. Okay, someday I'll read the Dhammapada here. The first card is Death. I don't think there's going to be too many cards in this reading. I think that you've been through some situation where people were like pressuring you, or like lying about you, or just like some really intense situation where you were not treated well. And I think you were afraid for your life, actually, is in the past here. In the present, we have Judgment reversed. Yeah. There's sort of like a deep closure in a lot of situations. I feel like you may not even, I'm seeing an image of like a baby foal, like learning to walk, like a baby horse, or even a baby cow. Like, I feel like you don't know how to exist without these toxic relationships that you've been in, and maybe toxic environments. And you're like, where do I fit? Where's my voice? In the future, I want to read this as an end to conflict. That you're not really willing to pursue a road of conflict with anyone, and whoever these people are that tried to get you in trouble, or spread rumors or lies about you, or ruin your life, or make things hard for you, they're like sick people. The Five of Swords, 5 can be about the mind, and so can the swords, and changeability, and also, I mean, and this is a stretch, but salesmanship. Maybe these people sold you something, and of course change. I think it was the best thing for you to leave whatever this old life was. I think you left a lot of accoutrements of what your life was, including like relationships, places, people, jobs. I think maybe you did a redo. And so you feel out of balance, but it's like to be expected with the situation, because there's something still out of balance in your life that I don't know that you have the power to put it back in balance right now. I think it's about a greater imbalance in the community. This card can be about community. I think your role is to be a healer and perhaps a speaker. Because, I think you might have like special gifts with reaching the public, like a community that is really needed, like public service, like maybe speaking about subjects of such as spirituality, and also just creating community for the disadvantaged, for disadvantaged populations. The Devil. You're really still like scarred, I think, by some of these traumatic events that have happened. I think you're having trouble trusting because you're also scared the other shoe will drop. But I think these people who did this to you were really like, maybe it was like an abuse situation, maybe like triangulation, or like some sort of really bad situation that you were in. Like maybe, I'm just getting you had to like run away, like leave maybe in the middle of the night, very unplanned. And I don't think you've gone back to that situation. I don't know if this was a domestic violence situation, or it sounds kind of like that's what this was, but it could be just like a long-standing uncomfortable situation. It could be a job that was toxic and you just like left one day. Could be, becoming estranged from family, or just excommunicating friends who are no longer like positive. Whew, a lot of energy here. Yeah, this card keeps coming up in your energy, whoever's watching, watcher. So this is about spiritual poverty too, not just physical poverty. And just like despair, and like you've been through some really tough times lately, I think. Like, I don't think you ever thought that life could get this hard, and you're like, the thing is, things are going to change. Right now, it's like you are in a stalemate, okay? You're stuck in some sort of situation, and you can't really see what the way out is. I want some cards about Spirit, about you and your resiliency. Some words from Spirit, what Spirit wants you to know, and about this situation. Spirit. Okay, we get it, Spirit. Death card again. But you're really, like, not seeing, Spirit wants you to know, you're not seeing that this, like, let go of any, ties to the past. Let go of that, because that is negative, okay? This is for the best. This is your life, this rebirth. And it may take time to rebuild in the way that you're imagining. It sounds like you're in a transitional space, but this is needed, okay? That's what Spirit's saying. Magician. You have so many gifts, and you are, like, I'm seeing a very talented person and smart. And I think you've had to be manipulative in some situations to survive. But I think you're going to become very... I think the things that are falling apart in your life, Spirit's kind of butting in here. I'm sorry. Sometimes if I break what I'm saying, it's because Spirit's like, shut up, I'm ready to talk. I'm getting direct energy here from some ancestors or some spirit guides of yours that you need to realize what's being taken away. Like, let that be taken away, okay? It's being taken away by God and by Spirit, and you don't get to choose, actually. That's something that you need to come to terms with. It's almost like there's this one thing, like a teddy bear is being taken from a girl by Jesus, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna give you something so much better if you just trust me. It's like this stupid cartoon, but I really kind of believe in that cartoon, because I believe that what you were holding on to was causing you so much stress in your body and in your mind. Whatever this situation was, this environment, these people. And I think there's still this energy that's existing that's trying to keep you from expanding. This, like, I think it's like a toxic relative that you're fixating on their illness or something. Maybe they were mentally ill. They're like hovering. What's happening there is they're hovering because they're worried, but you're picking up on it, and then you're fixating on what happened to them. Okay? Does that make sense? So that's the sort of toxicity. And I want you to actually focus on that relative's positive things. What were some beautiful gifts they had in their life? Because that's going to change your vision, and it's going to change the interaction. And also just the negative, maybe there's a demonic energy here that was trying to not let us do the reading in the beginning. I hate to say that. Usually a lot of Christians say the enemy, but I'm just going to go right for it. The demonic, these little demons, they don't really have any power over us. They can F themselves. That demonic energy that was trying to not let me film in the beginning is like really just this trickster energy that I think is coming in and out of your head and telling you you can't do it. You can't do it. And it could be anything. It could be something so simple, and I think you need to just realize, no, the message is gonna come through me no matter what. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna film my thing. I might have to take 5 times, Spirit, if you're gonna play these little games, evil Spirit, but I'm gonna film eventually. And it's sort of like that energy. It's like, no, I'm gonna do what I have to do, which is the energy you've had to come into to get away from this situation, which sounds like a little bit dire. It sounds like there was threatening. It sounds like there was danger, and you had to come to safety. A lot of intense energy coming today in these readings. Because you were afraid to let go of what you had. There was something like maybe ownership, like even just like spiritual ownership, but definitely like you felt like having this thing was more important than, like, you were like, I'll put up with this because I need the money, or I need to live in this house, or I need this. And I'm seeing that you're putting up with like a lot, but eventually you were just like, I have to take a stand here for my life, for my life. That's what I'm hearing, for not just like maybe you literally were in fear of your life, but like maybe there was like a violent person, like abusive person, but also like your thoughts were becoming so muddied. I don't think you were sleeping in that situation. I don't think you were like eating perhaps, and that's, I think maybe your kidneys or your other organs were like, or even your liver, like multiple organs, maybe your heart were affected. Maybe, you know, sometimes if there's extreme weight loss because of stress, our heart can be affected. But I don't want to go there. That's the toxic energy. It keeps kind of trying to come into this reading. I just saw an image of Virgin Mary in my head holding roses. She was wearing a crown of roses and holding roses. I think that I connect a lot with Mother Mary. She's my main woman, my main person besides JC, Jesus Christ. Sorry about all the but when I connect with the Mary energy here, it's just like a little slowing me down a little bit. Mary is saying, like, her energy is saying to me that, like, she sees your struggle, you know, she sees what you've been going through. She sees that those people tried to take advantage or slander you, or, you know, they were wrong, and you got out, and good for you. And also, Spirit's telling me that, Spirit and Mary are telling me that, like, every rose has its thorn, which is the song from the 80s by Poison. Every rose has its thorn. Who knew that Mother Mary was like a metalhead or an 80s music fan? Sorry about that sound. But every rose has its thorn. It's like, it's kind of true. It's just like every beautiful thing has something dark attached to it. I'm really sorry about that background noise, but that's kind of like what I'm talking about. You know, sorry, I had to pause because it was too loud, but that's kind of like what this is like the reading, and is like it's sort of like embodying what you went through. It's sort of like something became too loud and you had to just relocate. Like, I think physically, whoever I'm talking to, I think you may have moved or changed completely the situation. And I think that it's like good riddance is what I'm hearing. Like, you know, and every rose has its thorn. The context here is like, I think you trusted these people at one point who did this to you, and you like cared for them. And it's like, you have to realize with loving comes risk. And maybe you're in a place also where you're like protecting, you know, I'm thinking of Beauty and the Beast and how that beautiful rose is like protected in the case in the like attic. Maybe you're like really protected right now by, I can see the thorns as like spiritual protection. Oh, we got the Death card again. Judgment. I think I want to read this as you have felt very judged, actually. But I think your energy is really changing from caring about what people think, and you're actually coming into a lot of acceptance about your situation and judging. You have really good judgment about like how this is not, you have judgment about right and wrong that I think these people did not have, and you know, a lot of people don't have, and that's going to guide you in your life, and it's going to be beautiful because you're going to help a lot of people. And also, I think you may have had poor judgment when you were staying in that situation, because it was like, you were like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to live. What else do spirits want us to do? Let's get some positive energy here, Spirit. Can you give us some words of affirmation for our viewer here? Queen of Pentacles. All right. So you are going to be coming into some financial sovereignty, and the Mother Mary stuff came up because she's into like daily tasks, you know, routines, organization. Like, she really helps with that stuff, money, billing, and like, you know, I think you are maybe looking for a career, or you you know, looking to be the mother of a roost, whether you have kids or you want to have kids, or maybe you're single right now. You kind of have the goal of like having that home and being like in charge of a home, like managing a home. And I'm actually seeing that for you. And if you're a man, and you could still be the Queen of Pentacles, because you could be a kind of sensitive man, and that's really nice. Then you could put a sort of nurturing quality into the caretaking, into the practicalities of caretaking at home. What else is Spirit seeing for you in the future in terms of how this is going to be resolved? You need to just let bygones be bygones with these like people. You know, don't try to make it work. Don't go back. Don't go back to that area. Don't try to talk to them again. This could also be friends, even like just like toxic friends. Maybe there was like some sort of situation where they like threatened you. The word threaten keeps coming up. I think you felt very like much, whoever this was, it was like several people. Maybe it could just be two. That's enough for 2 against 1. That it was like triangulation and manipulation and deceit and trickery, and you were like, I have to leave this situation for my own safety. That was very smart of you, and scary, and so yeah, it's like a finality with the 10 of Swords. It's like there was betrayal and backstabbing, but it's like that had to happen so that you could move on, because that's really, sorry, let me turn the car off. That's really like, Spirit was watching for a while this situation and being like, I just don't like how this is going down. And they were like looking for a way to get you out. And you're so protected that like these people pushed you like to leave, and you got out like just by the skin of your teeth, which is a great play if you want to watch it or read it, by Thornton Wilder. It's about a family existing through several generations. It's not realistic. It's like they live in caveman times, and then they live in like the 60s, and it's just supposed to be about like, how does a family survive like all these things, and how does the family of man survive? And the answer is by the skin of our teeth, just barely. And it's really a great play. It's about this family evolving and having these issues and not figuring it out. It's very funny. And you know, I don't know. I think you have to just realize that this was like, you're gonna this keeps coming up, public recognition. Like, you're gonna have a voice in the world here because of what's happened to you. Maybe you're gonna speak out against abuse, or, you know, speak up for the underprivileged. I don't know what that is yet, but you're also like, I see you're building that voice. You have something to say and something to express. And the Page of Cups, I'm seeing some like lightness and some, you know, creativity, maybe putting the focus on creativity. And I'm just feeling like a magnet, like you're gonna be moving away from this negative situation because your energy just does not vibrate with it anymore. And that's really what Spirit wants you to know, is like, you're just not a match to these people or this situation anymore. And you may like be fixating it on times. I'm seeing there may actually be multiple situations that you left, but I'm also seeing that you're detached from most of it. Spirit, can we get a closing message for this reading, which I feel like is coming to a close? I feel like we've gotten most of the things out. Ooh. Okay. Those aren't our cards. I'm sorry. Spirit, can I have a closing message? Okay. Queen of Cups. So, just like, I think these people or this situation took a lot of energy from you. And it's sort of like slowing down and like just really feeling your feelings and honoring them and just trying to look for the beauty in life. Looking for joy wherever you can see it. You know, maybe it's like the grimmest day, but like, is the sun shining? Is there a beautiful bird singing? That's really Queen of Cups for me, is somebody who just, I'm almost gonna cry, like just is filled with, yeah, that sentimentality towards how beautiful and creative life is, how fertile. And that's gonna be you, and you're gonna it's gonna be some healing of feelings where you're gonna realize these people were wrong, and also Queen of Swords, some extreme boundaries, you know. You're not taking shit from people. You've really like, your nervous system may have changed because of this. You may be incredibly highly attuned to people and situations now, and you really are like wise. Like if someone's bothering you, I think you'll immediately like be like, this is unacceptable. And you know, that's a good lesson, because if we don't do that right away, we're giving a message that's okay. This is verbal communication too that you're giving. You're telling people, hey, this is not okay for me, and I think that's very new for you. And also mental, you know, you're or writing, like maybe you're like writing to someone like what the rules are of the situation. Okay, and last card here. No, we already got that card. No, I don't like that card. Hierophant. Okay, I am gonna take it with this card that I didn't like. So I think you've had a lot of anxiety about your place in society. And I think that it's like, just know that you can't like see, what is it? You can't see, there's some saying about trees. I don't think I'm gonna get it right. See the shade for the trees? I'm not sure if that's the right saying here. You can't see the shade, the trees for the shade. Maybe that's not even a saying, but it's sort of like, you just have to accept that like you're in a new time and it's bewildering. You don't, like, you have to leave, you had to leave this situation. I'm thinking of the book Where the Wild Things Are. Oh, it's such a great book. I really love that book. And Maurice Sendak is from, or lived in Connecticut, which I love. And he's one of my favorite artists of all time, even though he's just a children's book illustrator. It was one of my first entryways into art, really. Really, The Night Kitchen was my favorite book, but The Wild Things was huge too. And like, okay, I'm mentioning that book because the movie is kind of crummy, but like the book is amazing. Like, it's just like the idea that we can be transported into another world in our imagination, but like, I want to see the wild things as this negative situation that you went and tried to live amongst beasts, and then you are like, actually, I need to go back to my comfy bed now. But you tried to make it work. You know, maybe that might not be someone else's interpretation of the wild things, but for this reading, it's that you were like, oh, let me go to this alternate reality, because I think you had been independent for a while. And then you were like seeking community with like people who were bad for you. Okay. So yeah, and Spirit's telling me now that it's just time for you to rest and focus on yourself, because you're gonna actually be taken to another wonderful world where the people are not animals, and your life can be discovered in a more beautiful way. This keeps coming up right now. You're in a time of suspension, but this is also about the suspension of Christ as he was on the cross, and the sign of Pisces, which is about change, communication, feelings, and death. So I think that the time of waiting is actually, Spirit's waiting for you to catch up here. That I think there's some negative feelings that you're like, oh, the past, oh, these bad things that happen, and it's like, just shake that off, you know, let that go, forget about these people, forget about this situation, get ready for what's next, get ready for what's going to come.